Hello everybody, I'm Mario here, and I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here. We're back for the Merxy Toys. And welcome back to more Let's Play of Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games for the Nintendo Wii U. And as you can see right here, we're actually using a different costume this time around. That, you remember how in the previous videos ago, that we did actually use one of the, somewhat of a half, costumes for ourselves. But then, and also some of these videos that we actually did use the, yet again, a half of the, in this case, 50% of their headgear, and then 50% body, costumes. But this time around, though, we actually have ourselves a full costume we can use on, which was actually a mascot, the actual mascot of Rio 2016. Which, I don't know exactly sure what's his name, though, but I need to, have to find out during the, when we find out on the, some Wikipedia and stuff. So anyway, so last time, in this case yesterday, that we actually did tackle for athletics for, tournament game. And today for this video is that, although we weren't able to do all of the shorter, events per se in this video, because sometimes some of the events can get done by a bit longer if you actually just, you know, trying to go through everything, really, so... Yeah, so, today for this video is that we'll hopefully just tackle for some more of those events in the tournament gate. So, starting with BMX. So, again, as far as, I don't know if we actually try our best, if we actually just about to go ahead and just use the new record style, but I think this is by far the hardest new record to actually pull this off. Because the only time that I seem to screw up on, it was that I think again, I think the only way to do with this is that when you come to a steep hill or something, or in this case some bumpy roads and these little ramps, you have to pull the control stick upwards so that you can actually retain yourself some extra boost. Which I think, if I remember right there, but as far as one I've just noticed that from the start already, so yeah. So, a few things we want to mention about certain things is that we've almost at these 70,000 views, which was quite a lot actually for our channel like this. But even then, it wasn't as ridiculously high as the other YouTubers out there. Although, granted, it did that successfully or enough. So, yeah, as far as when I was gonna say that, just about to the start. So, yeah. And yeah, if you couldn't tell already, sorry for the lack of dialogue messed up right there, that in some of those events, mainly BMX for example, that if you want to go ahead and qualify to the next match, you're gonna have to be sure to either go first or second. It doesn't matter if you came in second or first. But if you're in third or fourth, you probably won't continue, so unless you automatically get kicked out of the tournament itself. So you know. So here's Wave the Swallows, walking around in the hub world. It's actually the first time that we can, although, even that you always take control of Wave in, during that, the Sonic Riders franchise, most of the time, like in Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, and then Sonic Free Riders for as a Kinect game, so... But even then though, I think this might actually be the fourth time to actually play as Wave the Swallows, some sort like that. Yeah, I'm guessing that might be true though, if I remember rightly. So anyway. So I guess there's not much else we can just, you know, speak of, well, besides until at some point or another that somehow King of the 74 is still, kind of busy actually, just to do himself, just have some plannings for his, well, probably the next LP out there, but I'm not exactly sure what playthrough is he gonna do at the moment in time, but normally that it has been about roughly 2 months ago since Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness playthrough is actually over, like especially as it consists of the finale episode mostly, so I don't know what playthrough he's gonna do now, but even then we'll just have to find out during the future days or stuff like this. So yeah, I don't think we can get a world record or the new record right here. Most of the time that sometimes you might end it up really slowly for when it comes to actually trying to, you know, in fact we're off by just about a split second, or in this case 1 second left until we actually get ourselves a new record right here. But again, I don't think that this game actually has an emblem system in this title, because back in during in London 2012, they now actually put in some of the challenge achievements, and especially noticeable in Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games as well. And I'm not exactly sure, but I think probably it also counts as from this, but only in the carnival challenges. But even then, back in the day, in Beijing 2008 and Vancouver 2010 installment, in the during the Mario and Sonic Olympic Games franchise, that it does have some emblem systems. So, you know. Guessing that the world record things doesn't really matter, unless if you'd be really curious if you want to actually try out the... There was actually another mode that we like to talk about, and that was actually the I think I've already mentioned this earlier, but I think you know that on the stand that has Shy Guy on there? He's actually the host of the Ghost Match mode, so yeah, you're about to be competing against with the Ghost data of your, well, Ghost status of your competitors, especially the other countries' Mii's. So yeah, I think that's how that mode works basically. So, but even now, we're just about to discuss that just about right now. So yeah, as far as in the latest parts of this playthrough, folks, is that even then we're almost practically done with this playthrough so far. But the only time that we might actually just to actually focus on at the very end of this playthrough is by basically going through the tournament gate and whatever. But even then though, that this might actually be the longest video parts, because again, some of these events can get overly quite short, and then some of them can get ridiculously long. Like, especially noticeable when we actually get into some events like table tennis or beach volleyball, dual beach volleyball, football, rugby sevens, you get the idea. But then, mainly some small events, mainly BMX 100 meters and 4x100 meter relay can go over by quickly. So anyway, so now we actually claim the gold medal for Wave, the Swallow, the member of the Babylon Rogues. So yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm kind of glad that how Wave the Swallow, that again, she's actually a, well, I don't know about you, but somehow that when we, Jet and Wave the Swallow are the only ones invited to the playable characters wise in this game. But again, I kind of felt odd about it, that how, Storm the Albatross was not included. Maybe because he needs to be fitted or something like that. He can't just participate for Rio 2016 when he was actually a bit thicker, before I remembered. So, yeah, that's BMX done. Now let's move on to, let's do Archery next. And you're gonna be facing off against with sticks on that event. So, yeah. And we got ourselves a hidden character to actually face off against. Could be either a Mario or Sonic character. And my guess it will probably be Mario, just because we've encountered many of those Mario characters so far. So, yeah, if I remember rightly, that might be true from that perspective. Alright, so we're using sticks for this event, mostly, because, well, we're going to be showing you guys how the walking animations for these characters that we actually going to showcase. Well, we already showed unseen ones, like, for instance, Toad from 4x100 meter relay. And I'm pretty sure you guys haven't seen Sticks walking animation if you actually go into the hub world, so I believe out of all these events that we actually did play this on our own time, I think Archery is a prime example that the reason why we couldn't do the max difficulty, because sometimes that although we don't have many problem in the first round, in this case a quarters match, but then everything else, oh yeah, apologize for that little sprite glitch, that's always happens in some capture cards, but even then it works alright, I suppose. Alright, now we're qualified, and since we're using sticks, so that means we can actually, let sticks can actually just get onto the hub world, or in this case, the overworld of this. So, I think the Kawabana Beach was actually the main beach and during that the Rio, Brazil, if I remember rightly. Although it's a kind of a pointless dialogue to begin with, but either way. So here's Styx right here, cheer herself for actually just qualified for the actual tournament itself. So yeah, it's really cool to actually play as Styx for a second time in a row. The first time you can actually play as her is actually on Sonic Boom Shadow Crystal and stuff. And here's Luigi right here, if you talk to him, well, it gives you a flag, obviously, so you know. What's weird about it is that every single character except Mario and Luigi doesn't, although Mario and Luigi doesn't contain speech bubbles dialogue. But the only one's the exception of is the rest of the Mario and Sonic characters. I mean, I found that really odd, mainly, but hey. Now we move on to the semi-finals of Archery, so you guys should probably suggest it. Yeah, I think the semi-finals match I have a lot of struggle with in level max difficulty version. It's mostly because I was a bit too precise with aiming. It's mostly because that you have to be super sensitive with this analog stick control. Because again, no motion control input, so it's just originally there was supposed to be a gyro sensor, but it turns out it's been completely removed due to the you know, the lack of the motion controls in the motion controls are broken in Soul 2014. I think that's the main prime example. Oh, what? We lost the combos. Yeah, if you somehow miss a shot or even just accidentally hit the red circle target, you'll lose a combo. So just be very cautious. And yeah, that's how the main story of how the reason why originally we're gonna do max difficulty of the tournament mode, or in this case the tournament gate, but never been planned. So unfortunately that's not gonna happen. So instead we'll just have to mostly gonna do level 2 mostly, just because it's want to keep it much more easier in terms of how not aggressive and just not too well, aggressive I have to say. So yeah. Okay, let's mind out for this red cross target right here. Just be sure to not hit that. And yeah, we already take like 19 combos, as much as it used to be. So now we can actually proceed to the finals. So even though we actually got qualified, I think if I remember rightly, during that next month, especially consist of Sonic Boom Fire and Ice is going to come out during that 2016, that I think we can actually play as although technically, that on the 3DS version of Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games mostly, that you can technically just I don't know about you, but I think probably Styx's dialogue is heavily borrowed from Sonic Boom from the TV series. I'm not exactly sure. Let us guys know in the comments below if you want to think about it. So, yeah. Oh yeah, one thing we haven't mentioned in order to unlock Wave the Swallow in BMX is by basically straightforward. If you're actually first time playing the game, then you can guarantee that you can actually just do level 1 in BMX, and that's all you do. And then in order to unlock Styx, you're gonna have to be sure that you're gonna have to like, you know, do level 2 tournament gate in Archery. So that's all you're trying to unlock, and especially unlocking well, Wave the Swallow. Yeah, sorry for a bit of an awkwardness going on. It's because I just cannot think of it correctly, or can't think of if I remember rightly. But anyway, so yeah. And now we're going to some actual stuff, like some of the actual Rio 2016 stuff. That so far that we're still at second place for our gold medal counts. Well, not so much for the medals in total, because we're off by 1 medal from China. But even then though, that so far that Great Britain, for those of you who actually guys live there, that so far we actually got still 19 gold and then 19 silver and 12 bronzes, so that will actually grant a total of 50. And basically who managed to got it is by basically well, as much as the fact that I think we already mentioned this in yesterday's video, if I remember rightly, that somehow that we actually got, I think we actually got a silver medal from Jack Laughter, or Laffer from Diving Men's 3-meter springboard, which that was actually really good, by the way. And also there was, well, Joshua from Boxing Men's Heavy or Light Heavy from 81 kilograms. So yeah, that was actually quite good for the medal counts that we actually have. But still, USA was actually on the top list at the moment. Like, they actually got about 28 gold medals, 30 silver medals, and 28 bronzes. And that will actually grant us a total of that will give them a grand total of 86 medals. Seriously, they're almost at 100 medals in total, which is quite large, but considering how, I don't know about you, but every time when it's like in the Summer Olympic Games, that USA was actually in the, in top number 1. Because sometimes though, I think it's mostly, oh, that was actually quite close when it comes to that points value. But, no new record though, but we'll take it. So here's Styx onto this, middle part, and she claims himself a gold.
Winning again. You know it.
Oh yeah, one more thing before we actually mention is that, between the 3DS version and the Nintendo Wii U version, there was actually some audio issues for, Styx dialogue in, during the Nintendo 3DS version. Now, granted, you can clearly hear her now in, the Wii U version, which I'm quite, glad about that, because even then we, since we can actually hear one of her new dialogues into the, during the video game franchise, especially in the Sonic franchises. But what's odd is that in the 3DS version, oh yeah, by the way, the next events we'll be hitting to is boxing, and you can actually just fight against with Zavok once you first time playing the game. In order to actually unlock him is by basically going through level 1's boxing tournament. So that's all, that's pretty straightforward. I think we might actually do 2 more events per se, because I don't think we got time to do all of the shorter events until we actually get into the longer events. But we'll have to find out until we actually just proceed to this playthrough. I think the majority of what's really odd is that the majority of these videos will be uploading, especially this is still in August. I think this is more majority of, well, this game. Because we haven't exactly announced a new playthrough just yet though. Well, besides this, which was already been started at the 5th of August. That originally they were going to do the opening ceremony, but because during that time, a different time on during the different countries, that even then though, that we actually did going to record this during that some point or another, but then all of a sudden that oh god. So we're going to fight against with this me that for some reason has a Santa hat. Would be for a Christmas celebration or something. Although granted, Mario, we only have like 4 months time until when it's Christmas time, so yeah, you know. So here's the first round, and it looks like we actually get automatic victory. So yeah, if you those who be curious about the boxing match, is that until you actually get into the quarters match, especially the semi-finals, you only have like 1 match to deal with, and I believe in the finals that you actually have 3 rounds specifically, so yeah, just keep that in mind until right now, and I'm sure many people already know this at this point. So now we actually proceed to the semi-finals, where we're going to compete against with that me over there.
Victory will always be mine. Just sit back and watch.
Granted, Zavok, we actually got to take control of you this time around, so yeah. So yeah, this might actually be Zavok's, you know, first time actually going to take control of him, as opposed to Sonic Lost Worlds, Sky Road Zone, that he's actually automatically a boss though, so you know.
Challenge me?
You're out of time, don't you mean? Yeah, oddly enough though, they're trying to actually cut out the Zavok's line, especially when it consists of when the loading times has been approached. I think that's mostly because they need to actually just keep it more smaller amount of dialogue as opposed to long. But even then, yeah. So here we go, against off with her right here. I'm not exactly sure what her name is, but for somehow she actually got herself a Zavok's mask. Probably we're gonna be fighting a Zavok clone, but except the noticeable difference is that she doesn't have his entire body, which if she has, then it'll be the actual proper Zavok clone. Let's just say that much. But except that you can see the Mii's faces, and that's all you're gonna see. Alright, let's see how we can actually proceed to the finals here. If somehow that she was actually almost trying to get up. But even then, she just has some temporarily, a little too late timing, so instead we actually got an instant win. That's actually quite odd, kind of think about it. So anyway, back into what we were saying about Styx's dialogue in, during the Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. That, originally, that in the 3DS version, her audio, clips was supposed to be going a bit louder. But somehow that it just makes it a bit quieter. I think it's mostly due to the handheld limitations when that since that was on the Nintendo 3DS when it first came out. But then you can't really hear Styx's dialogue that very well. But still.
I will show you true despair.
Well, at least Zavok's dialogue actually did manage to get the end right here. So anyway, but there was only one exception, which was, you're out of... And it cuts him off. It almost kind of reminds me of how it does it from the Sonic Adventure 2's cutscene when as soon as Sonic actually puts the emerald into the Eclipse cannon, while Tails is actually just trying to do a walkie-talkie to Sonic, but then they somehow got interrupted by Eggman trying to have some little discussion of news of what's gonna happen, like Dr. Eggman's trying to, like, tell Tails to actually just make Sonic to go back to his facilities. And then, I think as a result, that Amy actually got kidnapped by Eggman, if I remember rightly. And then, somehow when Tails is off, then Sonic will goes like, what happened to Amy? Taya? And then it cuts him off, so... It's a bit similar to how it does it for Zavok's dialogue here. But anyways, enough about the dialogue heavy for this point, folks. Anyway, now we're into the finals where we get ourselves the actual 3 rounds. And I'm pretty sure she might actually try to get up really early because she has the perfect timing. But somehow the first round ended. So yeah, you get their suggestions. So, oh goodness. But yeah, so yeah, and as a result, thanks to the Wii U version of Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, after when you actually unlock Styx, by the way, and then you can actually now clearly hear her dialogue right now, which I'm in totally approve of that, because even then, once it doesn't actually fixes that, the same idea as it does it for the 3DS version, well, I'm really kind of disappointed when, well, if it doesn't fixes that. Well, thankfully though, since this is the final project technically, oh god, we got knocked out. Or in this case, just down in general, so come on, we need to get up. We don't want to get a silver medal, darn it, although we might as well take silver medal any day. But somehow we actually got on track, so... Oh, what? How come she barely dodged that? Come on. Giving her a sweat, huh? In order to actually do some uppercuts, there's one thing I think we haven't sort of do that throughout this playthrough. That in order to actually perform that, I think you have to do like, use the control stick down and then A at the same time. But then even then, sometimes the computer opponents can always block that attack whenever you actually do an uppercut, because sometimes they do really good if they're trying to perform some perfect blocks. In fact, in order to actually, you know, get a perfect block ranking, oh, come on, really? Anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of glad that how we can now hear Styx's dialogue in this version as opposed to the 3DS version. I think it's mostly due to the although you can adjust it, you can adjust the volume settings onto your options, which you can perfectly do that. But somehow, whenever you first time playing the Archery on the 3DS version, well, as soon as you actually let Styx come in first place, you can't necessarily hear her. But I think it's mostly because those crowds are way too loud. But either way. So here's Zervark on the top of the table, and he claims the gold medal thanks to his stronger improvements.
Bask in my glory.
But even then, at least I'll give you credit to that if you actually now become a playable character. But you're so tough as hell when I played Sonic Lost World on the Wii U on my own time. Although, I think its mostly prime example is actually in Lava Mountain Zone 3. God, I really despise that boss fight so much. And what's for that special prize fail? It's by basically not to get hit by punches a few times. I think that was by far the hardest special prize to achieve because sometimes though computer opponents can instantly try to kick your butt off, and then sometimes though they might actually try to get you outright get you for good. But I think that's what that was actually going. I think we might actually do one more event until we actually get into the next video so that we can do some more events. Like we're gonna be doing table tennis once again. Oh boy. But we're not gonna be actually just you know, giving up on the level 3 because we're doing this on level 2 and we're gonna select Zaz, one of the Deadly Six members, so you know. But even then, that since we actually already saw Zaz since well, obviously Sonic Lost World as the actual mainstream Sonic game, and also Sonic Dash from the iOS devices, or even mobile devices in general if you want to prefer calling that, because Sonic Dash has been selling for almost like a few million downloads, which I don't know how much downloads they actually just to receive itself. Although granted though, I think Sonic Dash has been, although despite some critics actually not overly seem to overly good, or for that case, some of the critics seem to think that the Sonic Dash was actually a bit of an okay game. But honestly, the more I've played Sonic Dash a bit more, I found Sonic Dash is actually a hell of a lot more enjoyable. And Sonic Boom's, although actually, speaking of Styx, that wasn't actually her second time, in this case the second time playing as her. That was technically in Sonic Boom Sonic Dash 2, which that was usually if you want to actually count if you want to count for that game. Oh, what? Are you freaking kidding me? Stupid timing issues. Anyway, I'm guessing that was about it when it comes to the discussions for this video, folks. So yeah, I was actually quite surprised. So yeah. And I'm pretty sure that if you guys should notice at this point in time, that if we oh yeah, now we can actually take control of Zaz. I think this might actually be your guys' first time actually going to be seeing Zaz's walking animation, which surely he might have done that before in doing that Sonic Lost World in Windy Hill Zone 4. Whenever he carries the biggest sun. So yeah, this is how this walking animation looks like. That's all he does. He just does that. So yeah. But yeah, that's how that normally works out for that quite nicely. I don't know about you, I think he also cuts Zaz's line as well, which that might be true for that respect. I don't know. But either way, so let's go ahead and move on to the semi-finals here. And then hopefully we can, you know, do some actions here, like some, you know, table tennis, I suppose. So yeah. There's one more thing that we sort of mentioned this, although I think some of you guys, or some of the other toys haven't mentioned this before, but sadly though, that Sonic Runners, especially the game itself, I think, that seems somehow, although very briefly, I just need to actually just to concentrate, just hitting the ping pong most of the time. Well, the key here is to actually just don't make it too early shots, or even sometimes a bit too early for that particular taste. But still, I'm just not a big fan of how the table tennis plays out in this version. which, to be honest, I felt really disappointed with that being said, so, yeah, but anyway, I think this might actually be the final time to you know, do this, because somehow that, you know, it will just trying to actually, you know. Either way, sorry for the bit of a lack of dialogue again, just because there's not much else we can just talk about besides the point right here, so, you know. So anyway, yeah, for that, iOS, game called, Sonic Runners is now entirely shut down, which means I actually did double-check on it, but then it won't allow me to actually re-download it now, because even then I think Sonic Runners, as far as the game itself, is now finished. So, as far as I just noticed that already. I think it's mostly because the game, as far as the critics, especially the other people around the world, they actually got pretty disappointed with Sonic Runners, because although I don't mind it as far as the actual game came out, and then especially when I first time playing on it back in June 2015, I was quite excited actually. But then, after when we played a bit more, especially the ridiculous method of unlocking characters, which I found really dumb and stupid, by actually doing some bit of luck. I don't know why they actually force you to do some luck elements to actually unlock some characters. Because, I don't know why they do that. But either way, as far as the actual game itself in Sonic Runners, that, the game itself has some plenty of glitches I found. Like, but basically, sometimes the game crashes at every time when you're trying to actually just use the continue. I think mostly when we actually just watch a brief little few seconds, advertising for the iOS devices. And then every time when this happens, it always attempts to crash every single time. And then also the gameplay as far as the actual, the story of the game is actually alright, but it's not the best in the entire series in my eyes. But sometimes it gets even repetitive once you're actually trying to proceed to the next chapter and nonetheless. Because nowadays, they're actually trying to increase a hell of a lot more scores than the ones in their shorter amount of scores. And also I found that although I don't mind the special events, and that's why I actually decided to actually delete the application now, because I'm just really tired of Sonic Runners, because although it's not the worst Sonic experience I've ever played, but it's just I'm really disappointed. Just in my eyes. Alright, so here's Zaz onto the top number 1 table, and he claims the gold. Nice one, Zaz. Nice one. Granted, that's back in Sonic Lost World that you're the most pathetic boss fight, or the pathetic first boss in the entire Sonic Lost World. But even then though, you're not as bad as you used to be, so yay. Oh yeah, in order to actually unlock Zaz, it's pretty straightforward, similar to how it does it for Zavok, is by basically going through the tournament gate mode in table tennis in level 1, so that's how this works basically. And I think the majority of this video is by basically going through the new Sonic characters selection, which hopefully in the next video that we can actually pick as one of the Mario characters this time. So yeah, that's how that usually just goes out quite nicely. So I'm thinking that we actually got 3 shorter events to go, which are swimming, equestrian, gymnastics, and the last 6 main events at the top that we can actually save up. So yeah, next time on Let's Play Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games, that we can actually do those events. So yeah, see you guys then.